Hello! Welcome to Animal Tales Unleashed, where the wildest stories come to life. From heartwarming rescues to unbelievable animal adventures, we bring to you captivating and interesting tales from the animal kingdom. Whether it's incredible wildlife adventures, adorable animal stories, or fascinating animal facts, this channel is your go-to destination for all things furry, feathered, and ferocious. Get ready to be amazed, inspired, and entertained, because every animal has a story to tell. Stay tuned, subscribe, like, and don't forget to share. Times dead animals came back alive. Have you ever thought that dead animals can actually come back to life? It is a very sad thing to realize that a species is no more. Once a species has become extinct, there is no bringing it back. However, sometimes they can surprise us. There are a number of species that were once thought to be gone long ago that have popped up again to astonish us, revealing that they were never really gone at all. These rare creatures are called Lazarus taxa, in reference to the man Jesus raised from the dead. Lazarus taxa are species or groups of species that were thought to be extinct, but are then miraculously rediscovered. These are not miracles, however, as the species that fall into this category tend to share one key attribute, which is elusiveness. These animals are either vanishingly rare or simply very hard to find. Restricted ranges and remote habitats often contribute to this. Now, let's get to know these animals that were once presumed extinct, dead, and later came into existence. Number 1. Victorian grassland earless dragon. This Australian lizard was unseen for more than 50 years. It was once common in the state of Victoria State. The species became critically endangered in the 1960s due to extensive habitat destruction, with the last confirmed sighting before now happening in 1969. In the year 2019, a study published suggested it may have definitely become extinct. Nevertheless, hope remained for its survival due to various unconfirmed sightings, and in the end, these hopes were borne out with an ecological survey rediscovering the first individual in 2023. Subsequent fieldwork has resulted in the collection of 16 individuals who are now in a breeding program at Melbourne Zoo. Number 2. Coelacanth. Although coelacanth was not lost for decades, but millennia known from fossil records since the 19th century, these ancient fish were thought to have become extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period, some 66 million years ago. However, a live specimen was brought up from the depths by a local fisherman off the coast of South Africa in 1938. The fisherman had no idea of the great significance of his catch, but luckily, a museum employee, Marjorie Courtney Latimer, happened to examine the fish and knew she was looking at something special. Coelacanths are among the oldest living jawed fishes known to exist. This amazing discovery is now considered to be one of the most important zoological findings of the 20th century. They can live as long as 100 years and swim at depths of 90 to 100 meters, 295 to 330 feet. Number 3. Wallace's giant bee. You may think it'd be hard to lose the world's largest bee, but think again. Wallace's giant bee, named after its first collector, Alfred Russel Wallace, is a solitary bee native to Indonesia. This Goliath of an insect is 4 times larger than the average of a honeybee, with a length of as much as 4 centimeters and a wingspan of up to 2.5 inches. Until 2019, this bee had not been alive for 38 years, and scientists weren't sure it still existed. Entomologists discovered a single female specimen found nesting inside a termite nest of about 2.4 meters off the ground. Although little is known about this species, the female uses her giant mandibles to collect sticky tree resin to line her nest, which she makes in active arboreal termite mounds. The resin protects the nest from termites. This species is still very much considered vulnerable to extinction, however, in part due to the palm oil plantations overtaking their habitat. Number 4. New Guinea big-eared bat. This bat went extinct for over a century after it was first collected in 1890. It was named after its massive ears in 1914 and then wasn't seen again. maybe it felt insulted. Fast forward to 2012, when two PhD students in the University of Queensland were collecting bats of many species. They found one they couldn't easily identify. Then they began some rigorous detective work. After careful examination and comparison with museum specimens, it was found to be a female of the long-thought extinct big-eared species. This came as a very pleasant surprise to conservationists who had thought it wiped out by habitat loss and human encroachment. Number 5. Terror skink. Phoboscincus bocourti. Like the New Guinea big-eared bat, this is another species lost for over 100 years. This lizard is a good advert for the usefulness of museum collections. Both of these species were known from just a single preserved specimen, from which both the name and description were derived. This term is known as a holotype. These holotypes proved crucial in verifying the rediscovery of both these Lazarus species. In the case of the terror skink, it was first captured around 1870 in New Caledonia and described in 1876. It was presumed extinct, then later found once more in 2000. Number 6. Thylacine. This Lazarus taxa allows us to dream that animals presumed to be extinct or dead may one day come back into existence. The last captive thylacine died in an Australian zoo in 1936, and the species is thought to have died out completely sometime in the 1960s. Since then, there have been many unconfirmed sightings, considered by some to be fairly dubious in nature. The thylacine, also known as the Tasmanian tiger, was once the largest marsupial predator, with the head of a wolf, the stripes of a tiger, and the stiff tail of a kangaroo. It was an odd and imposing animal. Unusually for a marsupial, both sexes had a pouch facing backward, which the females used to carry their joeys, or babies, and the males used to protect their reproductive organs. This animal's trouble started in the early 19th century, when European settlers said it was killing their sheep. A bounty was placed on the animal's head, and thylacines were slaughtered in their thousands. Its de-extinction was first mooted over 20 years ago, when Australian scientists recovered fragments of DNA from a preserved museum specimen. Then, in 2017, Andrew Pask from the University of Melbourne and colleagues successfully decoded the animal's full genetic sequence. Number 7. Bermuda petrel. The rediscovery of the Bermuda petrel has become one of the most inspiring stories in the history of nature conservation. These birds were believed extinct for 330 years, with the last sightings in the 1620s. Then, in 1951, 18 nesting pairs were found on remote rocky islets in Castle Harbor. Even so, they are still battling extinction today, with a global population of just more than 250 individuals. They're one of the rarest seabirds in the world. Number 8. Checoan peccary. The checoan is the largest, by size, species of peccary, a beast that resembles a pig, but hails from a different continent and cannot be domesticated. This animal, first described in 1930, was based only on fossil records and believed to be extinct. Then, in 1975, one was discovered alive in the Chaco region of Paraguay. Today, there are around 3,000 known individuals, found also in southern Brazil and Bolivia. They live in hot, dry areas with thorny bushes and low-lying succulents, a territory that is quite impenetrable to humans. Number 9. Lord Howe Island stick insect. This insect is sometimes referred to as land lobsters or walking sausages. A Lord Howe stick insect is considered the rarest insect in the world. The stick insects were once very common on Lord Howe Island, where they were used as bait in fishing. They were believed to have become extinct soon after the supply ship SS Macombo ran aground on the island in 1918, allowing black rats to become established. The once plentiful insect became prey to invasive black rats and was thought extinct since 1920 in its only known habitat on Australia's Lord Howe Island. In 2001, researchers found fewer than 30 individuals on the small islet of Ball's Pyramid, the world's tallest and most isolated sea stack, which is a tower of volcanic rock that is 14 miles off the coast of Lord Howe Island. As of April 2012, the Melbourne Zoo had reportedly bred over 9,000 of the insects, including 1,000 adult insects plus 20,000 eggs. Number 10. Takai. The takai is a flightless bird indigenous to New Zealand, thought to be extinct after the last 4 known specimens were taken in 1898. However, after a carefully planned search effort, the bird was rediscovered in 1948 near Lake Anau. This rare, odd-looking bird remains endangered today, with only 225 individuals remaining. Number 11. Elephant shrew. This animal is also known as the Somali sengi. This mouse-sized animal, with its distinctive elongated nose, is thriving across the Horn of Africa. They are widely distributed across the southern part of Africa, and although common nowhere, can be found in almost any type of habitat, from the Namib Desert to the boulder-strewn outcrops in South Africa to the thick forest. This Somali elephant shrew was assumed to have gone extinct for almost 50 years after the last record was taken. Then, in August 2020, a team of researchers and academics reported that these tiny, odd-looking creatures were alive and well. Number 12. Blue iguana, Cyclura lewisi. This reptile, only found in the Cayman Islands and once on a fast track to extinction due to the combined forces of development, human disturbance, increasing road traffic, and introduced animals. This reptile's fortune changed in the 1980s when Fred Burton, a student of Cambridge University, took up a post in the island's Mosquito Research and Control Unit. This student stumbled across one of the blue iguana while out on a survey. He dedicated his work life to protecting this animal through a breeding program launched in 1990. In 2018, the 1,000th blue iguana was released into the wild. Number 13. Red kite. This animal is possibly one of the biggest success stories in UK conservation history. Red kites vanished from England by 1871 and from Scotland by 1879, wiped out by human persecution. By 1903, just a few clung on in Wales. Conservation efforts started in earnest, yet numbers remained low. After 30 years, red kites were reintroduced to the Chilterns, East Midlands, Yorkshire, and northeast England. They were initially brought to the UK from Spain and Germany, but the Chilterns' reintroduction proved so successful that those birds were used to repopulate other areas. Recently, red kites are one of the UK's fastest increasing species. Number 14. Rarotonga monarch kakerohi. This small, beautiful bird is native to Rarotonga, the largest of the Cook Islands. The greater population of these birds went extinct in the 19th century following the arrival of Europeans who introduced cats to the islands, though rats are also a major threat. These birds were presumed extinct until surveys in the 70s and 80s uncovered small numbers alive. Then, in the 1980s, the Cook Island Conservation Service initiated the Kakerohi Recovery Program, which helped to reduce the number of rats and protect the birds' nests. There are now more than 400 Rarotonga flycatchers on the island, and they are spreading their wings. Between 2001 and 2003, 30 birds were moved to the nearby island of Achu, a foundling population that had swelled to at least 123 by 2018. Nature can be full of surprises. Whether it's hibernation, freak survival stories, or just sheer luck, sometimes what seems dead isn't really gone. Have you ever witnessed an animal come back to life, or do you know of any other incredible survival stories? Let us know in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more unbelievable stories.